Some rappers drop bars, but these ones dropped evidence that put them behind bars. We got times when rappers snitch on themselves in the dumbest ways possible.
But my other friend is robbing it. I'm just like, that's cool. That's cool to do. So I might as well go rob with you.
If only Kasanova had kept his rap strictly entertainment. The Brooklyn rapper, known for his tough persona, ended up snitching on himself without even realizing it. For years, Kasanova boasted about his street ties in interviews and lyrics, flexing his alleged crimes like they were just part of a rap game. But the feds were listening very closely. When feds took down the untouchable Gorilla Stone Nation gang on RICO charges, guess whose name was in the mix? That's right, Kasanova. And guess what helped him build their case? His own lyrics. In one song, he brags about robbing and shooting, while in interviews, he openly discusses his past in the streets. Prosecutors didn't even have to try. He practically gift-wrapped the evidence for him. And when they came a-knocking, he had no choice but to plead guilty. Maybe he should learn to keep the real crimes off the mic. Or at least don't make the feds' job that easy. Kasanova's not the only one spilling the beans on himself, though, in his songs. Up next, we have
Rick Ross is a disgrace to humanity. This guy's a joke. How do you say, I slipped her Molly, went home and enjoyed that, and she didn't even know?
Rick Ross really did himself dirty with this one. Back in 2013, the Miami boss hopped on Rocco's track, UOENO, and let a little too much slip. In his verse, he would rap about slipping something into a woman's drink and taking her home, without her even knowing. The internet wasn't having this, and neither were the women's rights groups. Protests went crazy. People called for boycotts, and even Reebok, one of Ross's biggest endorsements, cut ties with him real quick. At first, Ross tried to play it off, saying people just misunderstood his lyrics. But let's be real, there's no misunderstanding that line. The pressure kept building until he finally issued an apology, but by then, the damage was done. Talking about damage. Bobby Shmurda really did himself dirty with this one back in 2014. His song Hot N***a was an absolute banger. Had the clubs jumping, had the streets vibing. But guess who else was listening? The cops. You see, Bobby wasn't rapping about street life for aesthetic purposes. His lyrics straight up detailed real crimes with his crew, GS9. And we're talking about shootings, drug deals, and all sorts of wild activities. Prosecutors didn't even have to dig too deep. His own words became the blueprint for their case. Imagine writing your own rap sheet in a hit song. The feds swooped in, and by 2016, Bobby was given 7 years for conspiracy and weapons charges. Later on in interviews, he said that his music played a role in getting him locked up. But hey, he did his time, got out in 2021, warning other rappers to keep their mouths shut. But you know what? It gets even more interesting.
At a home, again, here in Tarzana, the 5100 block of Otis to be exact.
Chief Keef really couldn't help it when he snitched on himself. The Chicago drill rapper, known for his raw lyrics and street-heavy persona, basically gave the cops all the evidence they needed, straight from his own mouth and keyboard. Back in the day, Keef was already under watch for his gang ties, but did he lay low? No. His social media was a goldmine of self-snitching, posting pictures with guns, flashing wads of cash while on probation, and even live-streaming himself at a gun range when he was banned from owning firearms. The authorities really didn't have to do anything on this one. He handed them the case on a silver platter. Oh, and let's not forget his lyrics. Prosecutors love when rappers tell on themselves, and Keef did just that. His bars were full of details about everything he did: street life, rivalries, and illegal activities. Next up we have UK rapper 10, real name Jake Farry. Another one that couldn't keep his past off the mic. And it landed him right behind bars. You'd think after serving time for the shocking 2008 murder of Jimmy Misen, he'd keep things low-key. No. After getting out, Farry decided to reinvent himself as a rapper. The problem? He couldn't resist referencing his dark past in his lyrics. In one song, 10 raps.
See a man so fly from his eyes and his breath gone. I wanted more. It made it less wrong. Seeing blood spilled, same floor he was left on.
Yeah, his parole officers weren't impressed with that, and just like that, he would violate his parole terms. Boom, back to prison. It's like he wanted to get caught. Instead of flying under the radar, he practically handed the authorities a reason to lock him up again. Maybe next time he'll think twice before putting his crimes on a beat. But hold on, cause now we have Atlanta's own young thug, born Jeffrey Williams, finding himself in quite the pickle recently. Prosecutors with their ears glued to his tracks would try to use his very own rap lyrics to paint him as the mastermind behind some shady dealings under the RICO Act. They claimed his verses were like confessions more than art, linking him to a slew of criminal escapades. But hold on to your headphones, cause this courtroom drama takes wild turns. The debate over whether rap lyrics should be considered hard evidence had everyone from legal eagles to hip-hop heads buzzing. Despite the prosecution's lyrical deep dive, their case hit some sour notes, leading to a less than expected outcome. In the end, Young Thug pled guilty to gang, drug, and gun charges, resulting in a 40-year sentence with 5 years commuted to time served and 35 years on probation. As part of his probation, he has to avoid Metro Atlanta for at least 10 years, perform some community service, and adhere to strict conditions, including no gang associations. Yeah, the saga has not only put a spotlight on the fine line between artistic expression and self-incrimination, but it really left the music world wondering, could their next rhyme be used against them? Only time will tell if this sets a new precedent or if artists will find a way to keep their beats a-bangin' without catching a case. If you think that was intense though, wait until you hear what this next rapper did. Back in '98, rapper Sibo, real name Sean Thomas, managed to snitch on himself. Through his own lyrics, mind you. His song Deadly Game didn't just drop bars, it landed him behind bars when he rapped.
So, when they try to pull you over, shoot them in the face, y'all.
Yeah, Sibo was already on parole when he released the track, which took shots at political officials and even California's harsh 3 strikes law. But here's where it gets wild. The authorities actually used his own words against him, claiming his lyrics violated his parole terms. Imagine that, a rapper getting locked up not for a crime, but for what he said in a song. This has to be one of the first cases where a rapper's lyrics were used against him, sparking a debate about free speech and artistic expression at the turn of the century. Many called it censorship, others saw it as justice. Either way, Sibo made history, but just not the way he wanted to. Back in 2019, Kodak Black, real name Bill K. Capri, gets caught in some serious legal drama, and guess what? Well, he basically snitched on himself. Kodak was trying to buy guns, but there was a tiny little problem. He lied on federal forms to do it. That's a big no-no. The feds don't play with that one. But what really sealed his fate would be his own social media and lyrics. Oh, Kodak couldn't help but flex about street life and guns in his music and online posts. The cops were already watching him, and he just basically handed the evidence right to him. Now you'd think someone in his position would try to be a little more low-key. But again, no. We have more reckless behavior helping investigators connect all their dots. And before he knew it, he's arrested, looking at a 46-month prison sentence, though he gets lucky when Donald Trump pardons him in 2021. Da Trump. The next rapper, though, takes snitching on himself to a whole new level. Way back in 2009, Boozy Badass from Louisiana was under the watchful eye of law enforcement. His lyrics were laced with what the cops said as not-so-subtle threats, and guess what? This gives him a reason to dig into his business. It'd be his Instagram live video that finally gets him arrested. As if the heat wasn't already on, Boozy finds himself slapped with drug-related charges, and his words didn't exactly help his case. Instead of just rapping about, street life, prosecutors argued that he was basically confessing to it. Well, he had an extended prison sentence that kept him locked up for years. Now you'd think from back then rappers would have learned by now. What sounds good in a song doesn't really sound well in court. And just like Boozy, this next one learns the hard way.
Whatever they say, bro. Not what you think.
Damn, Draco, that's fucked up, dog.
Back in 2018, rapper Draco the Ruler finds himself in serious legal trouble. Guess what? His own lyrics came back to haunt him. Prosecutors claimed that Draco's music wasn't just entertainment. They argued it was a confession in disguise. We all know his songs filled with details about his gang life, violence, and crime, and the authorities believe that some of those lyrics lined up a little too well with a real-life murder case. Oh, they painted a picture that made it seem like he was practically rapping about his own court testimony. Now, of course, Draco's defense fought right back, saying that this is just artistic expression, assholes. Rappers exaggerate all the time. But the prosecutors weren't buying it. They used his music to argue that he had gang ties and involvement in crime, making his case a huge debate about freedom of speech versus self-incrimination. Man, in the end, Draco beat the murder charge but still got caught up in some gang conspiracy charges, spending some years behind bars. The whole case shakes up the rap world, proving that sometimes your own words can be your biggest enemy. This leads us to a similar case. Back in 2017, TK basically tells on himself in the most public way possible, with a hit song.
Beat, I was trying to beat a case, but I ain't beat that case. Bitch, I did the race.
Yeah, this Texas rapper thought he was invincible after cutting off his ankle monitor and going on the run. And what did he do while dodging the cops? Well, he dropped a track, The Race, a song bragging about that escape. Oh, the track blows up and fans are loving the rebellious energy, and TK becomes a viral sensation. But obviously, you know who else is listening? The authorities. And prosecutors waste no time, with The Race as evidence in court now, pointing out how these lyrics matched real-life events. Yeah, he rapped about being on the run and, well, he was on the run. That, combined with other damning evidence, led to a 55-year sentence for his role in a 2016 robbery turned murder. It's like he gave law enforcement a theme song to lock him up. So instead of living the high life, TK is serving and tweeting about unfair treatment from behind bars. Boo-hoo! A lesson to all aspiring rappers that if you commit a crime, maybe don't rap about it, because the courts will hit replay. So talking about courts replaying your songs as evidence, this next rapper really didn't seem to have gotten the memo. YWN Melly, real name Jamel Demons, might have done himself no favors with his own lyrics. You see, back in 2019, he was charged with the double murder of his two close friends, two boys from YNW, Juvie and Sack Chaser, and guess what? Prosecutors wasted no time pointing to his hit song Murder on My Mind as a piece of evidence. Yeah, self-incrimination. Now the track blows up before his arrest, describing some eerily similar details to the crime scene, enough for the prosecutors to argue it was more than just creative storytelling. But if this isn't messy enough for you, the cops claim that Melly staged the crime to look like a drive-by shooting. But ballistics and text messages allegedly tell a different story. Now the fans are gonna argue that Murder on My Mind was recorded long before the incident, meaning it couldn't have possibly been a confession. But with his own words fueling the case against him, it's a classic example of an artist's lyrics coming back to haunt him. Here we have Meek Mill, one of the kings of real-life rap drama, having a habit of making things a little too easy for the popos. So his own words come back to haunt him, not once, but many times. You see, Meek was on probation for years, thanks to a case from when he was just 19. And the courts were watching everything. But instead of keeping it low-key, he dropped lyrics and social media posts that basically told on himself. From flexing trips he wasn't supposed to take, to hinting at behavior that violated his probation terms. Meek's own content gave prosecutors the ammo they needed. And let's not forget that infamous video of him popping wheelies on a dirt bike in NYC. That little stunt landed him behind bars. His legal battles turned into full-blown spectacles, with fans and celebrities rallying behind him, saying that the system was out to get him. And honestly, they had a point. His sentencing did seem extreme. But at the same time, Meek didn't exactly make it hard for the authorities to catch him slipping. Now, a similar case was that of 6ix9ine's whole saga is like a real-life crime thriller with a social media twist. His rise was built on controversy, and his downfall, well, that was practically scripted for a Hollywood drama. What's wild is how he thought he could outsmart the system while literally documenting his crimes online. It's like robbing a bank and then posting a selfie with the money. And when it all comes crashing down, he didn't just take a plea deal, he torched every bridge in sight. The streets labeled him a snitch. Hip-hop Puritans rejected him. But somehow he still found a way to stay relevant, at least for a while. Now let's be real, was his career ever built to last? His entire brand thrived on trolling and chaos. Once that spectacle wore off, the question became, without the drama, what's left? And finally, in his deeply personal track, 444, Jay-Z basically held a press conference over a beat to admit he cheated on Beyoncé. Yeah, he talks about how he almost lost his family waking up at 4:44 a.m. with regrets. And that's the closest thing we got to an official confirmation of the whole Becky with the good hair drama. Beyonce gave us Lemonade and Jay gave us an apology album. Talk about hip-hop therapy sessions.